Why doesn't anybody ever want to meet Ringo?
Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. Who else here thinks the first episode of the Ducktails Reboot was awesome? Yeah, the very first episode of the Ducktails Reboot, now released on YouTube, has already made me an immediate fan of the reboot. Even though it's just one episode, it's shown that it's a reboot that's done right, with some charm and humour from the original cartoon, as well as new charm from other shows like Gravity Falls. It's a good example of a reboot that can be done right, compared to some other pieces of shit reboots I know. And with DuckTales being the first reboot that was done right, it makes you wonder what other shows they could reboot rightly. Like this 90s classic, for example. Yeah, strangely enough, having thought about all these reboots that have been coming out and reboots that are coming out in the years to come, it's made me wonder if they could make a reboot of Sonic Underground. By now, most of you Sonic fans are probably saying, "Oh, Dalek44, why Sonic Underground? Why not suggest rebooting Sonic Satyam?" Well, let me explain. Sonic Satyam was already a really good show back when it was first released, and it ended on a cliffhanger, so everybody really wants to see the show continue. And many fans have tried to do so with various attempts, like fan videos and even fan comics, as far as I know. So really, Satyam is just too good to be rebooted. The best solution would really be for someone to find some of the ideas that Ben Hurst talked about in his original interview on the DVD set, put those into perspective in the new show, as well as find writers that have been on the show before that are still around, and find some writers that understand the show and can write good episodes for a new third season. Sonic Satyam was honestly just too good to get a reboot. Sonic Underground, on the other hand, wasn't as popular as Satyam or even Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. In fact, it was considered by some fans to be the worst cartoon based on Sonic the Hedgehog, when I still think that title belongs to Sonic X.
We've got to have money.
So I personally think that a reboot of Sonic Underground might be an improvement from the original show, capturing some of the charm from the original show, but adding some new elements to it as well. Basically writing some stuff that'll be tolerable for the fans of the original show, as well as tolerable and entertaining for new fans. Did somebody say Sonic Underground? Not you again, Dalek Sick. Why is it that every time I talk about Sonic Underground that you're always here to see sexy Sonia? Well, can I help it if Sonia has a hot body? And anyway, I really wanted to come here to make a suggestion for the new Sonic Underground reboot that might come out. Maybe, and call me crazy here, but maybe we could redo Sonia Hedgehog's backstory, so instead of being raised by an upper-class family, she could be raised in an Arabian village, become a royal family member in the village, and maybe have a sexy Arabian outfit? Yeah? Do you think that would work? No. Maybe. I'll get back to you on that after the editorial. Oh, brilliant! I'll be waiting for your response. Oh, my dream will finally be realised. I won't be getting back to him on that, guys. The characters in Sonic Underground that were there before could still be the same, but we could add some new characters to it as well as other characters that have been in previous shows and shows after this. And if any big television company out there is listening to what I have to say, then here's my suggestions for a reboot of Sonic Underground. My idea of a reboot for Sonic Underground would be to have more episodes dedicated to the three hedgehogs meeting each other, and possibly episodes dedicated more to their childhoods and teenhoods before they met up, since the first episode of the original show kind of rushed it a bit and went straight into when they met, after showing a little bit of their childhoods. So I think a reboot should do possibly a 4 or 5 part story like they did with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons in the 80s. So that we can focus more on the hedgehogs' childhoods and growing up before they actually met each other. And if they can, I would definitely suggest they bring back Jalea White to voice all 3 characters, since there's no other actor I'd rather have voices Sonic. Even though the actor they got now does a really great job, I just honestly prefer Jalea White because he's the one I'm used to. Another change I would make is to definitely bring some other characters from the other shows back into this. Like Tails, for example, because he wasn't in the original Sonic Underground cartoon at all. Since he's Sonic's right-hand man in other forms of media, I see no reason why they can't make him Sonic's right-hand man in Sonic Underground Reboot. Rewatching Sonic Underground after all these years still makes me wonder why the hell Tails wasn't in the show. I mean, he was in the other 2 shows and he's practically Sonic's sidekick, so why just leave him out of this show? And I personally keep Robotnik in this the same way he was in the original show. Dark and threatening like the Satyam Robotnik, but also have a bit of a wacky side, like what the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog's Robotnik was like. So it would kind of make him like Lord Zed after he married Rita Repulsa, being an emperor of all evil with a bit of a wacky side. I'd also keep Sleet and Dingo as part of the reboot since they were part of the original cartoon, and I'd definitely get some of the original actors back in, like Maurice LaMarche and whatnot, and I'd of course bring in Knuckles into the show since he was in the first show, and I'd focus more on the relationship between him and Sonia since that was one of the elements of the original show I really loved. And it's really just something I'd like to see expanded upon in a reboot. As I've mentioned before, the romance between Sonia and Knuckles was really entertaining to me in the original show, and if they ever did a reboot then I'd definitely focus on more time for them. And if it were possible, I'd like to focus more on Uncle Chuck in this series since we saw a lot of him in Satyam, but in Sonic Underground we see him in one episode and gets roboticized and is never seen or mentioned again. So I would definitely devote more time to Uncle Chuck in this series like they did in Satyam, as well as hopefully bringing the original actor back from Satyam to voice him. Although if he's not around or unavailable, then I'd find someone who could be as good as the original. Because though while Maurice LaMarche is really good with all of his voices, and he did voice Uncle Chuck in Sonic Underground, the original, I just find it really hard to see Uncle Chuck with a voice that's unlike the one from Sonic Satyam. As for the swatbots in a Sonic Underground reboot, I'd honestly prefer to have the swatbots from Satyam, because they look better than the ones from Underground. Or if they wanted to, they could possibly make the regular swatbots from Satyam in the show, and have a combination of the Satyam swatbots and the original Underground swatbots as like a super swatbots for a reboot. Probably a stupid idea, but it's just an idea. And as for additional characters, I'd like to introduce in Amy Rose. No, not that one. I'm talking about the Amy Rose from the Sonic Boom TV series, because that's the version of Amy Rose I like the most, and have her be a love interest of Sonic the Hedgehog throughout the cartoon. And then later on in the series, they finally admit their love for each other and start dating, as well as going on missions together. And for the sake of the fact that she's friggin' hilarious in Sonic Boom, I'd probably put Styx in there as well. Because as I said, she cracks me the hell up every time I watch her in Sonic Boom. And I think that because of that she'd make a great addition to the Sonic Underground team. As for the animation of the reboot, I personally prefer a 2D animation style, like what they did in the original show, or perhaps something similar to what they did in Gravity Falls. Now don't get me wrong, the CG animation in Sonic Boom TV series is decent, but I would just honestly prefer to see Sonic X on TV as the 2D animated cartoon. And no offense to the anime lovers, but I would love to see American animation over the animes. It just seems more fitting to me. And while the songs were entertaining in the original show, I'd definitely narrow it down a little bit with the songs in the reboot. But I wouldn't force the writers to have songs in every single episode, every other episode or something like that, just to mix things up a bit. And I would definitely bring in some of the original songs from the other show, like Someday, Cosmic Dance, and many others. Because a lot of the songs in Sonic Underground were really entertaining in my opinion, and it would be nice to hear them again revamped in the reboot, as well as that kick-ass theme song in the original. And I'd have probably 3 or 4 seasons of a reboot. I have the first season focusing on the hedgehogs meeting each other and defeating Robotnik's many plans to conquer the rest of Mobius, and then start the second season with Robotnik creating Metal Sonic, since I really think he deserves more screen time in Sonic media besides the video games. Have him battle against the hedgehogs for a while, then have Metal betray Robotnik in a 3-part finale, only to have Robotnik team up with the hedgehogs temporarily to stop him. Then have a 3rd season where they carry on fighting Robotnik, and possibly a 4th season where they finish the story completely, since in the original show they ended the show without finishing the story. So it would be nice to have Sonic Underground have another try and actually finish the story this time. So that's how I think a possible Sonic Underground reboot should work out. But that's just my opinion, and I'm pretty sure you'll want a reboot of a better Sonic cartoon like Sonic Satyam. But I honestly think that with all these reboots that have been coming out, like the Ducktails reboot, that's a reboot that's done right, I honestly think that a Sonic Underground reboot could be made better than the original show, if done with the right people. But whether a reboot of Sonic Underground will happen or not in the future, we'll have to wait and see. But these are definitely ideas for a reboot that I'd like to see happen in a reboot of this show if it ever happened. So until it actually does happen, these are some suggestions that fans and creators of other Sonic media could take into account for a possible idea for a reboot. Are there any other shows that you loved in the past that you think deserve a reboot done right? Well, just put down your suggestions in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks.